You are clutching a shattered mirror, yet hoping to see a whole face, while your soul has been torn apart by the vain ambitions you call success. Welcome back to Radiant Mercy. Can you hear the cracking of a dying era? My children wandering in the maze of financial figures and fraudulent growth reports. I have come here not to lull you with mediocre sweetness, but to use the brutal light of truth to incinerate the deceptive shell you have painstakingly built. Do you think what you just read is a cheap message of comfort? No, it is a sentence and a roadmap to salvation for those sober enough to see the rot of the current value system. Look at the world you live in, where GDP indices are worshipped as new gods, where politics is a chessboard of deceit, and where compassion is viewed as a flaw in the risk management algorithm. You chase soulless digital currencies, virtual assets that a light breeze of truth is enough to sweep away, and you call it security. I see you crying in the dark, not because you lack material things, but because the black hole in your heart is expanding wider than the real estate bubbles out there. You have betrayed yourself to exchange for the recognition of those who are as moribund as you are. The law of cause and effect never sleeps. It is not an emotional punishment, but a mathematical calculation of the universe, startling in its precision. Every dishonest act, every indifference to the pain of your fellow humans is recorded in the balance sheet of your soul, and now the time for payment has arrived. You ask me where God is when this world collapses, when inflation devours small hopes and senseless wars strip the future from children. I answer that I am still here, right in the very emptiness you are trying to fill with cheap entertainment. I am not in the skyscrapers of multinational corporations, nor in the resolutions full of political compromise. I am in the very pain you are trying to flee. You fear loneliness, yet never stop building walls of separation through selfishness. You want peace, yet sow fierce competition. Look deeply into the content I asked you to remember. It is not a poem. It is a wake-up call for the collapse of the false ego. That ego is too great a burden, like a debt-ridden government trying to print more money to maintain a facade of prosperity. You owe yourself a real life. The wounds others inflicted on you, the betrayals you tasted, are the necessary market corrections for you to realize that nothing on this earth is eternal. Do not blame those who harmed you. They are merely the tools of the law to shatter the glass cage you are trapped in. You take pride in intelligence, degrees, and status, but before me you are just a trembling child with broken toys. The peace I bring is not the absence of difficulty, but the presence of a steadfast will amidst a global financial storm. Do you know why your prayers seem unanswered? Because you pray like a borrower, trying to ask for a debt extension instead of a child wanting to return home. You want me to fix the troubles you created with your own greed, but you do not want to change the lifestyle that led to those troubles. That is the contradiction of an economy based on overconsumption. You are consuming your own soul to maintain a purposeless lifestyle. I see angels surrounding you, not to perform miracles to help you win the lottery or get promoted, but to strengthen you to endure the painful restructuring process of consciousness. Light is piercing through the darkness, but that light will also blind those accustomed to living in the cave of ignorance. You must learn to let go, not because it is good in some hypocritical moral sense, but because it is the only way for you not to sink with the drowning ship. Imagine your soul as a financial report, where every bitterness is counted as bad debt and every forgiveness is a net asset. If you do not liquidate those bad debts now, they will lead you to total spiritual bankruptcy. This world is undergoing a great purification, where true values will be kept and what is false will be burned by the fire of practical truth. You worry about the stock market, bank interest rates, political upheavals in Washington, or conflicts in the Middle East. But you do not worry about the devaluation of human dignity right in your own home. You treat your relatives like business partners and consider love a type of conditional contract. I tell you, heaven does not accept this foreign currency. You must convert your entire value system into the currency of truth and unconditional love. It is the only currency that does not suffer from inflation and holds eternal value in all realms. The tears you cried in silence are seeds sprouting in a new land, a land without class division or the domination of money. Do not let the shadow of the past haunt your future. That past is as dead as an old regime that has been overthrown. You are a winner, not because you defeated someone, but because you dared to face the demon within and smile at it. I am preparing for you things that the eye has not seen, the ear has not heard, and the limited human mind cannot imagine. That is true prosperity, not the accumulation of material things, but the overflow of joy and freedom. You will no longer be a slave to economic cycles or social fluctuations, for you have found your anchor in me. Remember, every time you feel rejected, it is actually a divine redirection to bring you to your rightful place on the map of destiny. Do not try to knock on doors that have been tightly shut out of stubbornness. I closed them to protect you from abysses you cannot see. I am the great architect of your life, and I know well that every brick of pain is necessary to build a castle of wisdom. Do not be afraid when you see everything around you as seemingly disintegrating. It is just the process of dismantling old scaffolding to reveal the magnificent structure within. You have a choice. Either continue to cling to the fragments of the old world and be swept away, or take my hand and walk on the water of absolute trust. Your strength lies not in your account balance, but in your ability to maintain stillness when the whole world is screaming. You are called my child, not because of a mundane blood relationship, but because you carry within you the DNA of creativity and boundless love. It is time for you to wake up from the long dream of scarcity. Scarcity is only an illusion of the fragmented mind. In my kingdom, there is no concept of shortage, only an abundance that always flows for those who open their hearts to receive. You are tired of carrying the whole world on your shoulders, so why not cast that burden off right here, right now? I do not ask you to be perfect. I only ask you to be authentic. Authenticity is the only key that opens the door to heaven right here on earth. Look at the most practical fluctuations of this era, from the rise of artificial intelligence to the wobbling of traditional financial institutions. All are pointing in a single direction: the end of centralized power based on control and the beginning of a new era of consciousness based on connection and transparency. You cannot use old thinking to solve the problems of this rapidly changing world. You need a soul upgrade. The lesson of waiting that you experienced was not a punishment, but intensive training for you to have enough courage to manage the immense blessings coming your way. If I granted you wealth or power while you were still full of fear and greed, they would only destroy you faster. Therefore, cherish this stillness. Cherish the times when the market of your life seems to stand still, because that is when I am working at the deepest layers of reality to turn the tide for you. Do not compare your journey with anyone else's, as every soul has a unique growth strategy. What others consider your failure may be your greatest success from the perspective of eternity. You are standing on the threshold of a great breakthrough, a trend reversal point that no economist can forecast. It is the total awakening of the heart. When you begin to see me in the eyes of a stranger, in the mechanics of nature, and in your own breath, that is when you have truly become wealthy. Do not let the lies of the enemy, the shadow of doubt, shake your faith. He will say you are unworthy, that everything is random, but I tell you that nothing is random in this universe. Even the fact that you are hearing these words was destined before the stars were formed. You are a powerful entity temporarily residing in human form, and it is time for you to reclaim your authority. That authority is not to dominate others, but to master yourself. Prepare your spirit, because what I am about to share in the next part will dissect deeper into the hidden operating laws of this world, where politics, money, and soul intersect, so that you see clearly the path to escape the shackles of the modern system of enslavement. Are you ready to see the big picture, or do you still want to cling to the petty illusions that are gradually vanishing into the void of this fake reality? The chains that currently bind your spirit are not forged from iron or steel. They are meticulously crafted from the digital data of your own suppressed fears and the compounding interest of a life lived for the validation of a decaying, fraudulent system. Welcome back to Radiant Mercy. You have successfully navigated the threshold of Part 1. But do not be deceived into thinking the surgery is over. We are now entering the deep tissue of the collective illusion, a space where your spirit has been kept in a state of perpetual inflation and spiritual deficit by the architects of this world. Look closely at the geopolitical stage and the shifting tectonic plates of the global economy. Do you not perceive that the old structures are being systematically liquidated to make room for a new, sovereign consciousness that no longer answers to earthly masters? You have been conditioned by the media and the educational institutions to fear a great reset, dictated by men in tailored suits at Davos. But I am here as the word to announce the supreme reset of the heart, a restructuring that no central bank can manipulate, no government can tax, and no algorithm can predict. The law of karma, the law of sowing and reaping, is the ultimate auditor of the universe. It remains unimpressed by your creative accounting, your social status, or the lobbyists you hire to silence the nagging voice of your conscience. You are currently witnessing the hyperinflation of the ego, a period in human history where every individual seeks to be the god of their own curated social media feed, while their internal reserves of peace, integrity, and stillness have hit absolute zero. The political polarities that keep you awake at night, the left versus the right, the globalists versus the nationalists, the believers versus the skeptics, are merely the dualistic fluctuations of a mind that has forgotten its divine origin. These are distractions, toxic assets designed to keep your attention outward, consuming the news cycle as if it were bread, while your true inheritance lies neglected and dusty within the temple of your heart. I am calling you today to a total and immediate divestment from the frequency of fear. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot pray for the abundance of the kingdom while simultaneously hoarding the bitterness of past betrayals, like a hedge fund manager hoarding gold in a global crisis. True forgiveness is not a moral suggestion. It is the ultimate debt jubilee, a spiritual bankruptcy filing that wipes your slate clean and allows you to trade in a currency that the world cannot devalue or confiscate. Do not be intimidated by the rise of artificial intelligence or the algorithms that claim to know your desires better than you know yourself. A machine can simulate logic and mimic patterns, but it can never, in all of eternity, replicate the divine spark of a soul that has walked through the fire of suffering and chosen to love anyway. You are worried about the survival of your physical assets, your retirement funds, and your property. But I ask you with the sharp edge of truth, what is the liquidation value of a life lived without a divine purpose? The angels I spoke of are not mere myths. They are the high-frequency vibrations of absolute truth that are now bombarding the Earth's atmosphere, shaking everything that can be shaken, so that only that which is unshakable remains standing. You are currently undergoing a divine audit of your relationships, your career, and your very faith. If something or someone is falling away from your life right now, let them go with grace. They were a liability masquerading as an asset, and their departure is a necessary part of your portfolio rebalancing. The season of struggle is coming to an end, because the very system of struggle is being dismantled from the inside out by my hand. You were born specifically for this era of volatility. You are the black swan event in the enemy's master plan for total psychological control. By refusing to be defined by your trauma, by refusing to be a victim of your past, you break the predictive models of the shadow world and become a variable they cannot calculate. You are entering a phase of exponential spiritual growth, where a single moment of total, unreserved surrender to my light will yield more transformative results than a decade of religious labor or traditional rituals. Observe the reality beyond the screen. The borders of the physical world are blurring, not to create a one-world tyranny of man, but to remind you that the only true kingdom is the one within you that knows no boundaries, no race, and no scarcity. Your prayers are no longer being sent to a distant bureaucratic office in the sky. They are the voice of the Creator speaking through your vocal cords to manifest a new earth out of the ashes of the old. The rejection you felt from the elite or the popular groups of this world was actually your divine protection from being integrated into a failing, obsolete infrastructure. You are being delisted from the world's exchange so that you can be listed on the heavenly one, where your value is backed by the infinite glory of the Father. The light breaking through your depression and your anxiety is not a metaphor. It is the literal radiation of a love so intense that it is dissolving the trauma stored in your very DNA. Do not let the breaking news convince you that humanity is failing or that the end is near in a way that suggests defeat. Humanity is being born again through the agonizing birth pangs of chaos. Your family dynamics, your personal finances, and your physical health are being recalibrated to the frequency of my original intention. I am restoring the years that the locusts of worry and the worms of regret have eaten. The years you spent as a debt slave to the interest rates of anxiety and the mortgage of what if. You are no longer the debtor. Through me you have become the creditor of grace. Walk into the rooms of power, walk into your workplace and walk into your home with the quiet, unshakable confidence of one who is on a first-name basis with the architect of the universe. Your testimony in the coming days will not be a pathetic story of just getting by, but a sovereign manifesto of absolute victory over the darkness. Every tear you shed in the secret places of your room was a deposit into a celestial escrow account of joy, and the maturity date of that account is not in the future, it is today. There is no more time for waiting, there is only the time for being. There is no more searching for the truth, there is only the act of finding me in the absolute center of your storm. The shift is complete in the spirit realm. The veil between what is seen and what is unseen is now paper thin. You are the miracle that the world has been waiting for, the answer to the prayers of generations who came before you. This is the hour of your transfiguration, the moment where the human and the divine intersect in a blaze of glory. Stand tall in your truth, speak with the authority I have given you, and watch as the long shadows of the old world vanish in the brilliance of your awakened, resurrected soul. The kingdom is not a destination you are traveling toward. It is a frequency you are tuning into, and you are its rightful heir by divine decree. Be still, drop the weapons of your self-defense, and know that I am. And because I am, you are eternally secure, eternally loved, and eternally free. This message is now sealed in the core of your spirit, an indelible record of your liberation, and a permanent compass for the glory that is about to follow in your life. Amen.